Hello, I'm John White. With me today is Jerry Humble, and Jerry is the master gardener here in Doñana County. Jerry, we got some problems, I see.
John, we've been having a number of calls at the office about evergreens. And also, since I'm fairly new to the area, I'm learning a lot about evergreens. And with this being the time of the year that we see so many leaves dropping from trees, I thought it would be interesting to talk about some trees that we see that stay green. Okay. So there are a number of examples that maybe you can help us with today. This is a type of pinyon. Maybe you can tell us more about it, what it's about.
Okay, Pinon Pines are pretty popular here. There's another pine that's even more popular, but pinons are the native tree of New Mexico, the state tree of New Mexico. So it is a very popular tree, and we see them up as we go up a little further north in the state. And of course, everybody's familiar with the pinon nut harvest. So this is the tree that produces the pinon nuts. Only down south we don't get much nut production. This tree does have a real bad problem in the spring with a little aphid called an adelgid, and also has a pine needle scale that hits it real bad in the spring. So people do need to really be on the alert for that, and there are some sprays and some water hosings that you can do there in the spring to knock those off and knock the problem down. But you do want to be checking for that in the early summer, late spring period. But otherwise it is a good tree, and it does not need a whole lot of watering. Sometimes people kill them by putting too much water on them. So, but it is a good one.
What would be a good amount
Probably
of water?
about once every 10 to 14 days on an established tree is plenty.
Summer and winter?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, what else do we have?
Well, we have another type of evergreen that we find throughout this area.
Okay. This is one of the cypresses, and cypresses have a problem with spider mite, and some of our junipers also. And when they take on this, you can kind of see how this has a little bit of a dusty cast to it down inside, and on the back side it's kind of dusty, and that could be spider mites. And the way we check those is to bang it out on a white piece of paper. If we see any of the little specks moving, that's usually mites. Just a good hosing with a good blast of water usually will help take care of that. Now, cypresses and junipers, as they get thicker, they do tend to shade a lot of the material towards the inside of the tree out. So if you come in and shear these, we want to shear them just lightly so that you're not going too heavy into the plant and not exposing that dead tissue down in there. So I like to let them grow natural and not do a whole lot of shearing. Okay, what else do we have?
Well, maybe you can tell us. This is an evergreen that we've seen a lot of.
Okay, this is a juniper, and junipers do very well in the area. They are pretty drought hardy. So if you're watering them 3 times a week, you're probably watering them too much. But they are very drought hardy. Again, established ones should just need water about once every 10 or 14 days during the summer, and maybe about once a month during the winter. They do get spider mites real bad, so they do need to be cleaned off, hosed off with a good strong spray of water, and that'll help them to look real good. They don't, all these evergreens do not like a lot of fertilizer, so you can really damage them by over fertilizing them. So we want to be careful with the high nitrogen fertilizers.
Okay. And both of these, I guess, are very cold hardy also.
Right. Yeah, very cold hardy. Okay, our last one. Okay, this is our Afghan pine. The Afghan pine is a probably overplanted in the Las Cruces area and maybe some other areas of the state. It is a desert pine. It is planted a lot throughout the southern part of the state. As you go up north, it'll probably have some cold damage on it. But the pine does have nice needles on it. It's a fast-growing pine, and it does come from a desert climate. One of the problems that we see with Afghans here is that they get pine tip moth, which is a little insect that hits up on the tip end and will cause dieback on the tip, and it'll cause the tip to die down a few inches, and That can be controlled with some timed insecticide sprays. You need to check with your local county extension office on the procedure there. And then the brown needles, we've been getting a lot of calls on the needles falling. And as the pine's going into the cool part of the year, it's going to put a little bit of flusher growth on here. And some of the older leaves, older needles are going to kick off. So it's just a natural process. If it's over, a lot of needles falling, then there might be some kind of problem. But that's probably something that happened several months ago. So again, just sporadic waterings on that about once every 2 weeks during the summer and once a month during the winter should keep them looking good.
Good.
So thank you, Jerry.
Quite welcome. Thank you.